Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of D20 Sundays. I know. About to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm playing with Magic the Gathering cards. Well, the reason is I'm actually going to be showing you a lovely little trick that I developed. At least I think I developed it because I've never heard of it before, so let's run with it. It's my way of creating short little campaigns. Wow, I cannot shuffle and look somewhere else at the same time. Short little campaigns or adventures that I need to create on the fly. Like, I'm burnt out when it comes to creativity. I can't think of how to start it. I can't think of what they should be doing, but I need something. I've actually used this when going to a convention before to give essentially a short campaign to, I think, 4 people who are willing to put up with me, and they really liked it. And it proves to be an interesting way of doing things. Now what you need is 23 cards. You need 3 creatures from each color. So that's 3 from white, 3 from black, 3 from green, 3 from red, 3 from blue. That puts you at 15. Then you're going to want 1 of each mana, so that's 20. Then you're going to want to throw in 3 non-basic land cards that are of a location. Like, I think in here I've got some sort of refuge point or something. The reason being is that they help create a cohesive story when you draw them. Because you're only going to be drawing 4 cards, and that's going to help you determine what your adventure is going to be about. And if you don't like it, you can obviously put them back in and reshuffle your deck. So, this is essentially how I do a lot of quick adventures. It's easy, it helps me a lot, and like I said, it's proved pretty useful a number of times. So, our first card for our adventure. Look, the refuge I was talking about. The Akuum Refuge. Yeah, basic land card, comes in tapped. When it enters the battlefield, I gain 1 life, tap for a swamp or a mountain. So, that actually tells you a good bit as to where the refuge point is. Is this refuge having a hard time with something? Or they're dealing with creatures or fanatics or what? But it's somewhere near a swamp and a mountain. Huh. Maybe at a swamp at the base of a mountain. Who knows? Our next card is, a Naga. The Ta-Krop Skirmisher. I think I said that right. Ta-Krop Skirmisher. Either way, it's a Naga. What are the Naga doing in a swamp or in the mountains? Very peculiar. Like I said, if what you draw doesn't work for you, or you can't really connect the cards together, just put them back in and shuffle and draw again. But a refuge point on the edge of a swamp and a mountain, having troubles with the Naga. Are the Nagas moving into the swamp? Perhaps the swamp was once a beautiful lake, and something happened, and that lake was their home long, long ago, and they're now back to try and reclaim it. A Lumberknot. They're dealing with more than just one problem. Perhaps the Lumberknot is filled with the spirits of those who have died. In fact, that's kind of what the Lumberknot does. It gets stronger for every creature that's in the graveyard. Well, every creature that goes to the graveyard. So, maybe the Naga have, when trying to reclaim their land by forcing out the people in the refuge, they accidentally awoken this Lumberknot and this tree folk that's becoming infused with the hateful spirits of the people who have been killed by the Naga. And a doomed traveler. Perhaps the doomed traveler is the one who tells the players what happened. And he passes away, unfortunately, due to wounds. Who knows? But we got 4 cards here. A refuge point, a Naga, a tree folk that's imbued with the hateful spirits of the dead, and a doomed traveler. I'm sure you could probably write something good with that. On the other hand, I feel like doing something a little easier today. So let's just give this deck another quick shuffle and see if we can come up with something else. Maybe something different or similar. You see, that's the point of this. It's to get your creative juices flowing and to help give you a basis as to what you should be writing. So that way, when you write your campaign, you have a bit of a cohesive idea as to what you're writing about, without having to constantly sit there and reread over everything to try and re-inspire you. You can just look at these. Ooh! Apparently I can't shuffle and look at the camera at the same time. That or I can't shuffle. I don't know. I'm Butterfingers today. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So that way you can look at the beautiful art on the cards, read about the card, what does it do, or perhaps the little bit of flavor text that's on it that has a bit of lore, give you an idea as to what this adventure is going to be like. So let's try for another 4 cards. A forest. Rather beautiful forest. In fact, this art has little forests hanging up as if floating. Kind of interesting. A floating forest. Be a very unique place in the world. Once again, I am just Butterfingers today. The Naga. The Naga show up once again. Is fate telling us to play with the Naga? Is fate telling us that perhaps we should write an adventure about the Naga? Who knows? But let's see what else is in this adventure. A swamp. A forest and a swamp. Maybe part of the forest was once decayed, or maybe the forest is decaying into the swamp, and the Naga have something to do with that. Something to think about. And our final card is a ghoul. Huh. Now you saw me shuffle these cards. It's kind of odd that a forest that is being pestered or has a problem with Naga is turning into a swamp and creating ghouls. Well, that sounds like a good adventure. I really am just Butterfingers today. But let's think about that for a bit. Perhaps the forest is near a town, and the town is experiencing problems with the ghouls. These undead that keep showing up from now and down, that come from deep within the forest. And when you go deep into the forest, you find a swamp. At the swamp, you find Naga. These Naga that are causing them by some strange ritual, or perhaps they're trying to sacrifice people to their god, and it's causing this blight in the swamp and this undeath to happen. I think I got myself an adventure. So as I said, you take these 4 cards, you write down a little bit about each one of them, and it helps get your creative juices flowing. So that's pretty much my technique and trick for writing quick one-shots that have actually been receiving pretty good praise so far. So I don't know if it's because of this technique or my own writing. Who knows? I'm not that good at giving other people modules because I've done that twice. I actually made 2 using a similar method to this. And while I have gotten good comments on them, I'm not overly thrilled with them. Purely because I write in a very strange way when I'm writing for me. If I'm writing a story, I of course write very well, according to others. But if I write for me, like my own notes for my own campaign, I write very differently. I write in shorthand, small thoughts that don't explain a lot. And the reason being is because I want it to constantly be shifting and changing. I want it to be able to take a new form if needed. Because, sometimes players don't do what you expect. Either rate, I hope you enjoyed my little trick that I've showed you. And I hope that you can come up with something wonderful by using this. And who knows? Perhaps you can share with the rest of us your own technique for developing a story on the fly for a campaign or adventure. I'll catch you next time.